Welcome back to the candidate interview series. My name is Cory King. I'm the executive director of the Bath-Brunswick Regional Chamber. If you haven't seen one of these videos, this is something that the chamber does or biannually with all the candidates for Statehouse in our chamber region. One little disclaimer that I need to put out there for those that haven't seen any of the other videos is the chamber does not endorse any Statehouse candidates. This is purely so that you can get to know the candidates that are running for the offices in the communities that you live, work, and play in. And with that, we have friend Mike Lawler back. Mike, how are you?
I'm great.
Great, thanks. Thanks for taking the time. I know it's a busy election season, and I really appreciate you jumping on for a few minutes. So, Mike, as you know, we're going to go through 5 questions. I like to ask all the candidates the same questions, and then we'll probably go down some paths and follow up with some answers and that sort of thing. So, question number one is, what district are you running for, and where does that cover?
I'm running for District 23, Maine Senate, and that's Brunswick, Harpswell, Chebeague Island, Freeport, Pownal, and part of Yarmouth.
Yes. Yeah. That's great. That's great. And so, tell us a bit about your background, Mike, and why you're running for office.
Okay. I'm running for office. My principal reason for doing this is I want to see Maine made more affordable again.
Yeah.
I will not support anything that goes on in the legislature that doesn't have that as a principal goal. If I can't say yes, it does, then I'm not going to support it. As far as issues, obviously the top one is to make Maine affordable again.
Well, that's it. That's it. Yeah. Yeah,
Number,
Mike. Yeah. So yeah. Sorry. Next question. Yeah. What are the top 3 issues affecting Mainers? Sorry. There we go.
yeah, well, that's the top one.
Yeah.
Okay. The second one is I want to put parents back in charge of the schools.
Mhm.
Some of the things that are going on in the schools are driving parents away from the schools and their children. And I don't want to see that continue. And then finally, eliminate ineligible people from the voter rolls statewide. Big scandal going on right now.
Mhm.
Big scandal. And it should never have happened.
Well, let's take those in the order that you sounded. The affordability piece. It's one of the things that I hear all the time from the businesses. Is inflation and the cost of everything. And honestly, I'm seeing it in my own personal life. My wife and I are squarely in the middle class, and we've got 2 kids, which means we've got childcare costs. And I mean, it is paycheck to paycheck for us. And you would think from the outside that we would do well enough that wouldn't be the case for us. And it's like we don't go on vacations. We don't spend frivolously. We're just paying for the essentials and barely getting by. And it makes me think about people that aren't as fortunate as we are and what they have to do. I mean, God, I was at a meeting. I can't remember. I think it was last week with some housing development people, and they were telling me the rental prices for some of these apartments and stuff. And it's like studio apartment, $1,600-$1,700, and I'm like, are you? I mean, that's more than many mortgages in this area. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. Like
Yep.
for a studio apartment, like that's wild to me. It's just wild.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm sure
So,
you're hearing it from the people that you're talking to, all over the spectrum, from young up to the seniors.
well, yeah, and it has a cascade effect.
Yep.
It has a cascade effect. And too much government is one problem.
Hmm. Hmm.
Too much.
Yep. Yep.
And it's going to take a revolution, literally, in Augusta
Mhm.
to do a correction. But you can correct it in a way where no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
about
Well, that's.
hurting
I mean,
people.
nobody wants anyone to get hurt. That's
So,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
That's always. I mean, you'd hope that people know that that's a given, but it's always good to Good to say that. Let's get into your education piece and about parents and stuff and things happening in the schools. Where's that passion come from? Is that from people that you've been talking to and
Yes,
me? Yeah,
yes, yep,
yeah,
yep,
yeah.
yeah. The schools have they built a kind of a veil around the folks that are actually in charge of not just everyday rules, like when the class starts, when the class ends, but what books we're going to use in class, what the subjects might be, um, what if anything, where are the parents allowed to get in there and smooth things out and state their beliefs and their hopes and their fears for their children.
Mhm.
And there's not enough of that. Parents need to be involved and they need to be somewhat in charge. Somewhat in charge.
Yeah, yeah. And then I want to get your third point about the voting rights and voting eligibility and that sort of piece. And you had mentioned that there are some things going on that need to get looked into and that
We've
sort of
got
thing.
we've got thousands of people here in Maine
Yeah.
who are not citizens.
Mhm.
It's happened all of a sudden. And many of those people have been registered to vote and in fact have voted. And there's a big tussle going on right now between the Secretary of State and the Maine Heritage Policy Center because they found out what was going on through a whistleblower. And the Attorney General came after him and said, "Whoa, who's the whistleblower? Where's this? Who is that? What's going on here?" And Maine Heritage Policy Center is saying, "Oh no, we're not giving the whistleblower away. You'll put him on a cross and burn him." No. So it's at a standstill. But it doesn't come as a surprise. It doesn't come as a surprise.
Well, no, I've been, well, as you can imagine, I've been immersed in PFAS and some of the other things that have been happening in the area. So, thanks for filling me in on that. Question for Mike: if voters could only know two things about you before they fill out their ballot, what would those two things be?
Born and raised a Catholic. Um, family man.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I should have said that we also asked that question about what do you want people to know after they meet you. But those are two very solid things. And Mike, finally, question number 5: what's the best way for people to connect with you or find out more about you as a candidate?
Knock on my front door.
There you go.
Call me on my phone.
Yeah.
729-5455.
729-5455.
Yeah, the cell phone is 841-9742. Email me, Mike Lawler at mac.com.
At mac.com, MAC, right?
mac.com. Yep.
Beautiful. All right, Mike. Is there anything I didn't ask about that you want to just add, or do you think we covered it?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. I spent 20 years in the service, retired from the Air Force in 1982, and I worked for a number of companies as a programmer, analyst, systems engineer over the period between 1982 when I retired and the year 2000 when my wife and I moved up to Maine from Connecticut. And some companies that I worked for were Data Point, Apple. I was many years at Apple. and a private consultancy that I ran for 10 years in New York and Connecticut around computers and information systems. I like to tell a story about how we came to Brunswick.
Oh, please, absolutely, yeah.
We came up here to Maine and we looked around and we found a realtor, a local realtor, who since has gone out of business. But he did a good job of showing us around the local area from Portland on up to Augusta and all kinds of points in between. And then he told me he had a friend that was a realtor up in Perry, Maine. And he said, that guy's got a property that you might want to take a look at.
Right.
And so we drove up to Perry, Maine, and this property was on 25 acres, had a beautiful brand new barn, a beautiful brand new 4-car garage, and a beautiful brand new 2-story home. And you know what else it had? It had a runway and a hangar, and it was for sale, and the price was right. And I was prepared to make an offer on the spot. In fact, I did make an offer on the spot, a verbal offer. And we were getting ready to leave and go have dinner. And my wife turned to the realtor and she said, wait a minute, I have one question. How far is it to the nearest grocery store? And he paused for a minute and he said, about 2 hours. And she turned to me and she said, this one's not on the list.
That's why I hadn't heard of Perry. I was trying to place Perry. Like, where in the state is Perry? It's
right on the coast, way up there.
Really? Oh, that's
way up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, like that's great. And thank you for your service, by the way. I don't want to interrupt and say that, but I do want to say that now. Yeah,
So that's
great, Michael. Thank you so much for your time. I certainly appreciate it. And we will talk to you real soon.
It's a deal.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Okay.